Welcome to Karate Cafe, your source for martial arts conversation since 2005. And now, here's your hosts, Paul Wilson and Dan Williams.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Karate Cafe. We have another episode coming up for you. All kinds of delicious conversation, and hopefully your cups are full, but you want to empty them and then fill them back up.
Working on it right now.
And just off my center line, uh, we have Paul here from. We were just discussing. Oh, geez, you're not White Rock anymore, right?
Wow. Oh, I will always be White Rock. We in
Yes,
the
sir.
green room, we were talking about uh, never name your school after a color or an animal,
Right.
and I broke that rule like right out of the gate. But I would actually name mine after a place. So it's not a
Yeah.
person, place, or thing. It's a place, both in my heart and geographically. So that's or regionally, I guess, because it was
Well,
all in.
I don't know. We were talking about it earlier that I think the name a uh, of a school is sort of an interesting thing, right? Because I don't know. I guess I was thinking of the color or animal kind of thing, and for you don't really care what people from other martial arts or more experienced people or any of that think. Like if you're the Yellow Dragon Kung Fu and experienced martial artists go, oh boy, whatever. Um, if it gets you customers,
Yeah, well,
I
but
don't know.
we should be going after students, not customers.
Should
But
we?
I know. There's. Don't get me started. Don't. Nope. We can't start
Don't
a
no.
tangent. We just started. You
Right.
can't tangent off.
We
Um,
can't start a tangent because we haven't started yet.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
We're literally not at the fork of the road. So,
True.
uh, yeah, well, like a lot of that is like, I gotta sound mystical and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, but yeah. So that's Dan was making fun of me in the green room, everybody. So
Hmm.
because he's in the metaphorical green room
Yes.
in Michigan, and I'm not, so he can
That's right.
mess with me like that.
Well, yes. So this is Paul Wilson, everyone,
That's right.
from not
Just
from
because
White Rock
yes,
or
right.
from White Rock. I'm not
Although
sure.
there is a White Rock in BC, and we should move there, and just so I can open up the dojo and be like official. But
You should find a
uh,
White Rock and then
for
carry it with you at all times.
always, well, that's my heart is full of yeah, yeah. That's I was
All right.
trying for a while to do a logo, right?
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out a way to like like a crane on a rock. I was like, well, how do you do? Or anyway, it was a whole
You
it was a whole thing. So,
just ask
but
AI now.
for yeah, exactly for yeah, and then you'll get like a crane with three heads. Um, but for clarity, for those of you who don't know and haven't been following the podcast, and why haven't is my dojo is White Rock Kenshin because it was started in Dallas next to White Rock Lake, because we're usually wherever when I start a class, I start a free class in a park, and in that case, it was by the lake. So, and then I just stuck with it. Once you start, you make all the cards made and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's kind of portable. So anyway, there's all that. But
So Paul asked me to do the intro today and see what happens.
yeah, exactly. The human tangent, like immediately, not like hi, hello, we had a good show. It's
Nah.
hi, hello. Thank you for the look. That's okay. But hey, we did have a really good show, and we wanted to address. We had some pretty good comments
Hmm.
on Old Man's War. Apology again to John Scalzi. The the thrust of it, and for those of you on the Facebook page that haven't been commenting, all these comments are on YouTube, or the ones that we're kind of go over real quick. Um, I just lost my train of thought. I was going to say
Comments, YouTube,
comments,
Facebook.
YouTube, Facebook. Oh, I don't know. That's
The things.
I gave myself my own tangent. I'll
You
probably
were
come back.
trying to tangent, but you
I
didn't
was
quite make the turn.
I made a self tangent. Anyway, these are I'm not going to read all of them, but I like it because there's comments, and this is where the conversation starts. So, including the original poster commented back. That one's pretty lengthy. I'm not going to read that one, but thanks for getting getting back to me on that action. I've got a guy here, I guess I assume it's Enderby Karate or it's Ender's Game, Ender by Karate. I don't know. They agreed, yeah, every class is a test. They were said I was turned down for a Don test back in the day because I was unable to fight full on. I just recovered from a blown hip joint due to an old car accident. I don't know if that was an old car accident or an accident in an old car. Anyway, so I was walking on a cane. I could do step sparring, kata bunkai. I just didn't want to risk contact kumite, so I could go to work the next day. And my instructor said, no, no kumite, no testing. Uh, he also commented that adaptability as an instructor is a huge measure of a good school. Being able to share your knowledge and give others skills, no matter what level or ability, is the greatest reward to me, him. Yeah, that's, I think that's something we touched on and something I absolutely agree with, and we even talked about it in the show about like, well, if the criteria is you have to do this in order to get your black belt, if you can no longer do that after black belt, should you lose that black belt? Because I mean, it's like which
Yeah.
came first and is that important? If it wasn't that important to continue to be able to do, then it shouldn't be so important to prevent you from doing it.
Yeah. And that particular um situation. Oof. That particular situation is interesting because they have not permanently lost their ability.
Yeah.
And so to me, I guess if I were that instructor, I would have delayed as well. I would have said, nope, we're gonna delay, because I know that you can do it. You just can't do it right now. And so yes, let's delay it. Let's wait until you can. I mean, usually from black belt to whatever your system is before black belt is a long time anyway, right? It's
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
like a year at least, something like that. So to wait another few months, I mean, I guess if your black belt tests are only once a year, then yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But I don't know. I would have a tendency to wait. If his condition were more permanent, that would maybe be a more interesting question, right? Is to
Yeah.
say, uh, oh, I trained with this guy for years and know what his skills were like right before his test.
Yeah.
And so now he's never going to get his black belt because he can't pass the test.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's for me again. I'm still very much you know, if like say the week before or 2 weeks before he was in class and just sparring that took us off and just decimating. It was like a John Wick movie, and then the week before or the test they
Yeah.
sprain their ankle and they're like, oh, I can't, and they're like, okay, well, sorry. It's like,
Yeah, I
come
guess
on,
from
but
yeah,
as an instructor, so like you said, being an adaptable instructor is I would, for me, and this is only for me, is I would then go like, okay, you can't do that. You can. I probably would do two things. I go like, do you want to just wait? Yeah, give it
right.
4 months, and we'll test. We'll give you a special test or whatever,
Right.
and if not to get too bogged down in the process. Or two, I would go like, okay, what can I let me come up with some ways for him to prove that proficiency without having to do it. Like, you don't have to do the 100-man sparring. It's like, okay, but
Yeah.
what can you do that, yeah, and sparring is kind of that whole gross motor skill kind of thing like that. Like, like, watch somebody, a couple other people testing spar and then explain what they did wrong or, what could have been done better. Something like that, just to show that they have the ability because, especially in my head, the ability to spar and it for, 2 or 3 minute rounds or whatever you want to set it at,
Right.
uh, isn't a legit um, demonstration of martial efficacy. It just means you have really good cardio and you can spar. I mean, you're knocking people out left, right, and center. Okay, cool. But still, you're not supposed to be fighting, unless it's a fighting, unless you're boxing or something. Anyway,
Right.
that's kind of my
Yeah. So
maybe.
that's one of those, and I think there are, from our topic last time, I think there are a lot of edge cases
Oh
that
yeah,
do get
absolutely.
into like Yeah, that's a really kind of tough situation for both the student and the instructor to be in.
Hmm.
Because like I say, if um, if you broke your foot right before a test, you can't do anything then, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't do form, you can't do kata, you can't do bunkai, you can't spar, you can't do anything. And then obviously, even though the instructor may know that you genuinely have all these skills because you probably even went through a pre-test, maybe even a
Yeah.
couple, you've been training for it for a long time, they know you can do this. Yet I would say you can't test at that point because like if you got a broken
You are a
foot
harsh taskmaster.
and you just genuinely can't do any of it, then I would have a hard time. Now, if I want to do something as an instructor, like give an honorary belt or something like that, or
Mhm.
to say, I know that you have these skills, but I don't know if I would go through like the official test route. I don't
Right.
know. Like I say, it gets into a
Yeah.
really messy, kind of
It's
sticky question, you know?
the once again it's the whole like this is what uh we said time and time again is like there's a ton of nuance to martial arts, and that really blows the like one size fits all, which actually works out really well for our topic today, uh,
Yes.
because this is
I was just
literally
looking
what
at that. Yeah.
it's literally what they're talking about. So
Right.
Dan, once you read this, this was I was messing around on the MySpace or whatever, and I found this post. I think this is from a Krav Maga instructor, and Dan, once you read the
Yeah, this just takes just like a minute to read. It's a couple of paragraphs. So,
well, wait.
okay, so here we go. Let me get my glasses on. All right. Here's an instructor's dilemma. I'm about to teach a defense against a very brutal form of attack. The muscular male student in this picture is very experienced and well trained, and I am confident that he will be quite adept at executing the newly introduced defense, right? So this is a male student, bigger dude. Krav is very reality based. So, obviously the scenario is somebody's going to go after the students like either at 100% or 90%, but close to it, right? Um, the other student, a much smaller female, is also exceptional and is equal in rank, skills, and time spent in training to her male counterpart and has absolutely no fear of engaging, right? Might not be the best thing in the world. Um, my dilemma is that the attacker in this training scenario, not pictured here, is twice her body weight and stands 6'3" and is also very muscular. And I am fearful that she may get injured as it involves fast, realistic, and heavy front tackle to the mid body. I am reluctant to teach it one way to him and another way to her, taking these physical concerns into consideration, as the technique response in question is curriculum centered, designed for everyone. My reluctance is not my reluctance is not gender based. A much smaller male would give me these same concerns. Right. Definitely not gender based. Like, it is obvious that in the different size, strength, and height, the physics of the participants, if you will, is what troubles me. Thoughts?
Oh yes,
So, I got thoughts. Do you have thoughts?
I have thoughts, but you go.
Okay. So, I think it's really obvious, right? Like, it's painfully obvious that this is a strange question to ask. Um, and the reason I say it's a strange question to ask is one of the things he says in here is that the technique is curriculum centered and designed for everyone. Is it though? Right? Is it though?
Right. It's like
And I
that just
think and I think too that there is there's this perception in the martial arts and depending on like who you talk to oh, it's all about technique. Size doesn't matter because I will be able to counter their body weight with my body weight and move around to the side, and then they will simply pass by me like a ghost in the wind, right? And I don't agree with that. I think that we have weight classes in, boxing, MMA, wrestling. We have weight classes for a reason, right? It's because, and I think I saw one of the Gracies talking about this. Um, they say every 10 pounds adds a belt rank, essentially, right? So, um, you have to realize that a 100-pound woman, let's just extreme example to make a point, 100-pound woman who has four black belts in five different styles, whatever, however you do that, um, versus a 6'3", 250 pounder is going to have a hard time. Right. I think there's
Yeah,
very,
it's like Tom Cruise's Jack Reacher and Alan Ritchson's Jack
that's
Reacher.
right. That's
And it's like
right.
there's
There's a bit of gap there. Right.
there's yeah, they're the same thing, but they're not the
Yeah.
same thing. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it really is, it's a physics experiment, at that point. Um, because yeah, and the reason why I started, and I didn't just send it to Dan, I sent it to a couple other martial friends of mine to go like, what do you think? And that's why I wanted to go ahead and talk to you,
Hmm.
the fine
Yeah.
folks of
Yeah.
Karate Caffeinators, because and because it speaks to our last episode, right? Um, if it's curriculum centered, it's like, well, then there's the breakdown of the curriculum, right? Because it's not for everybody, like you're pointing out. It's for
Yeah.
everybody in that sort of realm. And like for me, I've said it before, I've said it again, I'll say it forever. It's like I'm way more concerned about the concept and understanding the concept than that application, because that's sort of a scenario. It's like you get tackled by so it's like, well, okay, then if that's the rub point for him, it's like, why do it against somebody who's 6'3" and 250? Why don't you do somebody that's more size appropriate
And that's
and
what I
have
was
them
just, yeah,
kind of
I was,
work and like, okay, they can demonstrate the technique and they can do the thing. All right, now, here's what happens when somebody bigger is trying. But it's like for me, and I think we were talking about it uh, earlier, was the I think it's not it's less the application of the technique afterwards. It's more the introduction to the scenario, being tackled by somebody huge, which I mean, arguably, probably you will be tackled by somebody huge or larger than you.
right.
You know, so
Yeah. And I think, I will correct one of the things where it says it's designed for everyone. And it could very well be designed for everyone, but maybe not every situation, right?
right,
So and as you said, um, maybe what's more appropriate is to do this where you don't have such a drastic size difference, right?
yeah,
Maybe maybe the technique won't accommodate such a large size differentiation, right?
yeah,
And in fact, I don't know what you guys do, but in most of my schools, when we do a high punch, right, we do it to the level of our own head.
right, yeah,
That doesn't mean the opponent is always going to be at the level of our own head, right? It's
right,
just kind of like you have to pick something.
right. Pick a
Um,
target, right,
Pick a target. So I think that in this case, if this big guy is the only guy that you have to, and he says a very brutal form of attack, um, then I just don't think it's appropriate. I think what you could do is if you wanted to make sure that she knew how to execute the technique so that she could teach it to others, you could you could lower the brutality level, right? Maybe do it a little bit slower. But if you got I mean, honestly, if you have a 6'3" guy and let's say a 5'5" woman, and he's coming in doing a tackle, If he's tackling her, he just tackles her and lays on top of her. And
Yeah.
that's kind of it, you know? Um, so I don't know. And if especially, I don't know, is he coming at full speed?
Well,
is he getting a
that's
good run up going? Like,
well, that's what it says. It's a fast, realistic, and heavy front tackle to the mid body. Now, I mean, again, we don't know what the scenario is, so I mean, realistic instead, like
but like I say, and
it's
here's the other thing, is it on concrete? Like how realistic are we getting here?
right,
Because
exactly.
if you say, well, it's not really real unless we do it on concrete, because that's what would happen. So it has to be really real. I think in every situation, we have to understand that we are always compromising to reality
Yeah,
because otherwise we're going to hurt ourselves. I mean, unless you're a backyard brawler, then you're always compromising to reality. And even most of those guys won't bite or groin or any of that stuff, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I think in saying we need to compromise to reality, I think this Krav instructor just needs to compromise to reality and go, look, I don't want her hurt, especially not permanently. And therefore,
Especially if she's close to renewing her contract. I mean,
right, a tackle, if there's a slam after that tackle,
yeah,
I would not. I'd be like, no, I'm out, dude. Like, no
yeah.
way.
See,
I'm
yeah,
good.
So for me, that's that because that's what actually I was just talking. Got an email from someone that was wanting self-defense lessons, and so I was talking to them about how they
Hmm.
approach it because they said they'd been abused. They were in an abusive relationship.
Okay.
And I said, that's one of the things that I approach in from a self-defense standpoint and also from just a regular martial arts standpoint is, the what you're going to do after you get hit. We talked about this, the fighting the
Hmm.
freeze, right? A
Hmm.
little while ago is that, like, so if someone tackles you, you know, what technique are you doing? Because this also comes back to like, okay, it's really easy to defend what you know is coming. Well, whoever's attacking this person in this scenario or in class and stuff like that knows what you're going to do, right? Because for what I'm getting from this email, it's like this is some technique. Someone tackles you and you have to do this. So there's like a prescribed little script that goes on. Now, someone tackles you. Yeah. Are you on concrete? Are you going to land on furniture? Are you going to land on another
Hmm.
person? Are you going to land,
Go
whatever?
through a glass
Uh,
table.
yeah. Da, 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 da. I mean, when they tackle you, do they know anything? So they're tackling you because why? They're shooting in on you, or
Right.
they're just some drunk that's tackling you, trying. It's like there's so
Yeah.
many variables and stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
So like from that standpoint, what I would do if for some reason I had that going on, I was concerned, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take that and kind of make that parenthetical is like, okay, someone's going to attack you and someone's going to tackle you. So this class, we're going to do tackles, you know,
Right.
and everyone put on some headgear and whatever, whatever you need to do
Hmm.
to kind of, and then start small and work your way up until you, as a smaller person, get tackled by a larger person and you're used to what that feels like within the context of training, right?
Yes.
And then the next class, you go like, okay, or whenever, like, okay, now we're going to do this technique. Okay, now we're putting together because
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of not having like A, B, C, D, right? This happens and this happens and this happens and this happens. There's too many things that go wrong out out in the cul-de-sac to be able to guarantee. Now it's good to have built-in, but you need to be adjustable. So, you know, if she's attacked by someone her size, slightly larger or whatever, stuff like that, she's going to do this technique. If she gets hit by someone twice her size and twice her weight,
Yeah.
again, that's a physics experiment. And so so all you can do is kind of hope you recover for whatever that is, and then you apply whatever the technique is. And now that technique might not be the technique you did on the smaller person because they're
Yeah.
bigger.
And I
Yeah.
guess in you saying that, what it makes me think of is to maybe uh separate the concerns in training. Like, what exactly are you training for? Because if you're training for the aggressive nature of real violence, then you can train for that and don't need to necessarily worry about training a particular technique. You can train a particular technique without worrying about the fact that you feel like it needs to be done at 100%. Because, like I say, I don't know, just a 5'5" woman against a 6'5" guy. I don't know of any technique that's really going to work, right? If you're going 100% resistance
And a
and
trained 6'5" guy.
joint locks, not so great. I don't know. Maybe you can break a finger. If the guy's drunk, he's not going to feel it. Like there's all kinds of stuff that don't work in particular given situations. And I guess ultimately what I would tell it if I had a coaching moment before uh this happened in real life and was able to whisper in the woman's ear and go, just kick him in the balls, right? Like, because whatever technique you're planning on using probably isn't going to work. Because if he's tackling you and you're trying to box his ears or hit him in the back or, get him in a choke around the neck or whatever it is you're trying to do, you're in a very bad situation. And I
Yeah.
think that it illustrates the point that um in a self-defense situation, some people have it worse than others, right? Like it's just it's gonna be harder for you. It goes back to the I'm sure you've seen this in seminars, the what if guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, here's the technique I'm teaching. Well, what if he does this? Well, I mean, you have this option available. You could do this. Yeah, but then if you do that, what if he does this thing? And it's just like,
Yeah.
okay,
You
I'm not going
never.
to teach you all of that stuff right now. I'm
Yeah.
teaching you a particular technique. So yeah,
I
I
had
would
a
say,
buddy who was the What If guy. He
yeah,
he trained in Swai Chow and
okay,
Chinese wrestling. And he came to class one day, and we were I don't know what we were working on. We were working on some stuff, and then he kind of came back on the ring. He didn't really have his own place to train or anything. So I was like, yeah, come just drop in whenever you want. So he would come in and like we were doing, I think, groundwork or not ground. 2ADO. Anyway, and yeah, so he became the What If guy. We were always like, oh, What If guy's coming tonight. And one time I just because it was slowing down class, like we were doing
yeah,
whatever, and we were
yeah,
constantly trying. And I told him I was like, dude, every castle has a door.
right,
Okay, there's no like you can't plan for everything. You can't plan for every opportunity. You can.
right,
I know there's keyboard guys. Yes, you
yeah,
can. You totally can. I
right,
think I did. I think I posted somewhere. Can't remember if it was on one of our forums or somewhere else, and I said like, not everyone can cover everything, and they were like, we do every class. We do like 15 minutes of stand up, we do 15 minutes of ground, we do 15 minutes of kicks, we do 15 minutes, like it was clearly
right,
like MMA sort of thing like that. I'm like,
right,
okay, yeah, within the context of your world, yes, but I was thinking like, like you can't practice everything all the time, so,
yeah.
that's one of those depth versus breadth sort of
And I'm sorry, but
arguments.
even like boxers, I
Right.
mean, you could say, yeah, I have a jab and punch, but um, I think it's insulting to boxing to say that that's all they do every day is just jab and punch.
Right.
Like there's a
Flips, body weight.
lot
Yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
and dropping guard and counter
Yeah.
punching and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so I think that w what I would think is important in this situation is if it I would want to make sure that I know that she knows the technique
No.
because if she's
Right.
helping someone else out or it is a part of the curriculum obviously that she needs to know the technique. Does
Yeah.
she need to
But
know how to
is the
do it
curriculum, yeah, versus
under
that.
maximum pressure,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, that's an episode that's coming up.
Yeah, because that would be like me. I don't know. I don't know how big this woman is, but imagine she's like 5'5", right? That'd be like me going up against somebody that's 7'10" and 350 pounds. It's just like I'm gonna be like, I give up. Like
Well,
white
I mean,
flag already.
it's because again, so for context, I'm going to put the post up so people can uh, see those of you guys watching on YouTube, and those people who are still listening on the show. I was watching like we still have this is tangent or subtangent. Anyway, I was looking at the statistics for the last couple of shows, and we still have far more people listening than watching on YouTube. So,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
All right.
it's, I mean,
I didn't know
okay,
people
cool. Because
did podcasts anymore after YouTube
that's right.
came around. Like,
They still tune it in. Yeah, they do.
yeah.
Yeah, apparently. And Andrew Adams, our friend from Whistlekick, he messaged up and said the Apple Podcast thing is broke, and I'm still working on that. Or sorry, the tech team is
Okay.
still working on that, trying to figure it out. But other than that, Apple, like that's going to last. Most people are listening rather than watching. But I like them watching because that when they get to see the nice dojo we have here at the
Right.
West Parkway studio. But the kind of the thing is like yeah, it's like you do the technique, because is the technique important or is the entrance important? Because like you could go like, all right, well, what if you get hit by a car? And then are you gonna then grapple the car? Like
Right.
no, like this,
I'm gonna break fall across its hood.
yeah, it's a huge. Well, not me. I'm gonna jump over and flying sidekick through the window,
I like
whatever,
that one.
bro. But there's like the sorry, excuse me, the kinetics of someone that big hitting someone that small. It's like they may just bounce and fly off. you know,
Right,
you know,
right. He says,
but it
like you said, it's a physics problem more than anything
right.
else. Yeah.
But if someone it's so it's kind of that realm of like the scenario of like how likely is someone that big to tackle someone that small?
Well, and here it's, I talked about separating the lessons, and I think that what a lot of the reality-based self-defense do, and it's what you were referring to earlier, is you want to train them for that moment of panic, right? You want to train them out of that moment of panic. And so I think that if you have a 6'3" guy going after a 5'5" woman, that's not a bad thing, right? That in itself is not a problem. Like you can train for that. You can train to say, you have to scramble, you have to hustle, you have to figure out how to get out of this. You have to stay in your thinking head and not in your panic head. You've got to look for exits. You've got to figure out how to solve this problem while he's trying to kick your ass, right? Like I think that's valid training. Um, but to put her in the box of you have to perform this explicit technique while you're doing that is probably detrimental to her learning the technique. And I don't know, like I say, if he's going full resistance, I've never seen a technique that can solve that problem. I don't know,
Right.
like maybe she's gonna poke him in the eyes. Like
Mhm.
I don't know what's going on there, but
Yeah.
I've never seen a technique that's going to solve that problem. So if
Right.
he's for sure using every ounce of his strength to prevent her from doing what she wants to do, I have a hard time that technique's going to work out.
Yeah. And I, honestly, because I'm just walking down I'm trying to visualize, class day. All right, that dude over there is going to run into you full steam. And then you have to, 5-point finger floating heart technique him or whatever. And we're going to do that 10 times, or whatever. I mean,
Right,
it's like like, so that's what I'm saying is like you drill that part,
right.
with whatever you need to, because like I had a student and we were doing break falls, and stuff like that. And we were doing from different heights. And I was said like, you need to know what it feels like to fall, you know, like from
Yeah,
height, right?
right. To
Yeah.
fall
Like
wrong.
someone pushes
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
and so you fall, from top to bottom, boom, and flat, and
right.
you can do a break fall or whatever. And it's not fun. And we're going to do it once. And I
Yeah,
was like, it's like
yeah,
just so you can see what it
yeah,
feels like. But like, the class we did, we, had kind of, I mean, up to there, like the first half, 3/4 of class was like squatting down, and then like chair
Hmm.
height, that kind of thing like that. And then, front rolls and back rolls and stuff like that. So, but this is one that's basically like, like someone comes up behind you and squats behind you and the other dude pushes you and there's nothing you can do, right? So,
Right.
and everybody in
S-
the class was fine,
Yeah.
but one of my students, she fell back and she rung her bell. I told her all the things to do, right?
Yep.
And she'd been doing it all class. Stay loose, tongue in the roof of your mouth, relax. You know, don't let your head go back because you're falling straight back, all stuff like that. And sure enough,
Hmm.
she tensed up and her head was, you
Just a
know,
little bit
in a line and back, and
back.
so
Yeah.
and she
Bang.
just rung her bell, and she got a concussion, you know, and she was cool. She was, she understood that it happened within the context of class and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I ended up losing her. I mean, she came to like two more classes, and she just couldn't because she was having headaches and whatever.
Yeah.
And she eventually recovered, but it kind of took the
Well,
wind out of her sails.
yeah, and I will say there's an element to of risk to most martial arts. Most.
I can't.
Uh,
Oh, sideburn. That's smooth.
but like again, I think I mentioned it last time. I can't spar because I have had detached retinas in both eyes, and I can't take the risk that that's going to happen again. So
But dude,
really,
see how cool it would be if like, hang on, I've got to fight. I got to detach my retinas.
right?
Put them in a little
Or have
case.
one
Let's go,
pop
bro.
out and just be like, I just stick this back in. It's no
That's
problem.
right.
Um, so yeah, and that includes even things like, my friend and I do a lot of arnis together, and sometimes the stick patterns that we go through, the chance that it's going to come across and hit my head it's just scary, right? And so thinking about the comment and this scenario and things like that, I think that if, for example, it was done where he comes and tackles her, and then at 30% resistance, she has to perform the technique, right? Because what's happening in that sense is that she has to clearly get into her thinking brain after she's been tackled, after she may be in some sort of panic mode, um, and then has to like walk through the technique and do the technique while in that mode. Um,
Yeah. So, I mean, I was just, as you're saying that, I'm looking at it again, and I don't think uh, this guy's uh, issue is doing the technique after. I think it's being tackled because, I mean, like rereading it, it says like, I'm fearful that she may get injured as it involves a fast, realistic, heavy front tackle to the mid body. Da, 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 da. I'm going to teach it one way to him and one way to as the
yeah,
technique
and
response in question is.
mhm,
So it seems to be he's more concerned about, you know, the entrance criteria
yeah, yeah,
and then so like, but and see, so there's another
yeah.
aspect
And
is
I
like,
guess my thing is that you're going to teach everything differently to everybody, right? Like it's just people
that's
are,
podcast folk.
yeah, human beings are different from each other, and you're going to teach people differently. And I think
Yeah.
that I think that should be a reflection of your wise consideration as opposed to you deeming someone less than someone else, right?
Right.
Because to me, and I think one of the best teaching techniques I've learned over the years, this one's really stuck with me, is that um, have the guy. So imagine a scale from 5 to 10 of violence and commitment, right? And have the guy come at her at a 3, right? And
Okay.
then if she's like, I'm I'm good for more, let's go for more.
Right.
All right, ramp it up to a 5 then. And
Yeah.
then
So
she's
that's what I
like,
mean.
I'm good
That
for
should
a
be
little bit more. All right, ramp
yeah.
it up to a 6 then. And she's like, well, that was too much. Go back down to a 5.
That's
Right?
what I'm saying. That should be like a whole separate class because like
Right.
there's that way you can kind of physically prepare and
Yeah.
get whatever. And then that's the episode that we've got coming up, got on the board, uh, is about resistance. And I went to a seminar, an application seminar, and the guy grabbed me and he goes, "Oh, I like to resist." and he's like all super tight.
Yeah, that's right. You're telling me about this.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like you can't do the technique. So I've got bugaboos about that. We've all heard it in previous episodes, but we're going to talk about it a little more in depth in another episode. But this kind of reflects to me
Hmm.
of our last episode of very much like my question. Then also is to the instructor is like, since he talks about it being curriculum centered and stuff like that, is like, and I'm saying this in the most respectful way I can, like commercial martial arts that is sort of, and I mean, Krav Magars all like to think you're all Mossad agents and, whatever, commandos ready to, leap out at the moment when someone takes over the hockey game and stuff like that. But the reality of it is none of that is true. And so, but it's probably, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just saying there's a lot of schools that are commercial type schools that have like we have a curriculum. And my
Right.
federation, we have a curriculum, of the things you need to do, right? But there's also those of us who teach stuff that's not in the curriculum. And some of the curriculum is kind of up to interpretation to the person, right? So
And
it's
some of the
like,
curriculum
hey,
is, I don't agree with this, but it's part of the curriculum, so you got to learn it.
yeah, yeah, and I deal with that, So there's
Right.
stuff that's like, I don't really like that, and it may just be because I can't make it work, and so whatever. But understanding it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's like if so that's maybe the rub that I see is this, maybe this is like this is the curriculum, and it's not my curriculum. This is what is sanctioned by the International Krav Maga Association of
Right.
wherever. And in order to, and they may like we go to the seminars, and that's how they get
Hmm.
promoted. And anyway, yada yada yada. So it is maybe is they're trying to figure out how to get around that, or
Yeah.
like do I and that's the point. It's like if the entrance criteria for this technique, which is part of the curriculum, the technique is part of the curriculum, but he's not saying that the tackle is part of the curriculum.
Right.
So, but I'm simply because otherwise, then yeah, I just throw it out. I go like, okay, well, no. But
Yeah.
I would do what we're talking about is like, okay, let's sneak up
Isolate.
on it,
Right.
okay, and then do the technique. So,
Yeah.
like,
Now, if
if you
it's a
can,
test, I will say, if it's a test, I would say you'd need to get an appropriately sized opponent at that point.
right,
Because if it's like if it's a new technique, that's just crazy, right?
right.
You can't.
But
But if
see,
it's a
but
test,
then there'll be the people both within their orbit
yeah,
and out there on the internet that'll go like, well, if you can't do it, you shouldn't have gotten promoted. Which
yeah.
again goes right back to the last episode.
Those people are
The
dumb.
synergies. Yeah,
Um, because like I say, that means that for me, my opponent would need to be, 6'7" and 300 pounds,
yeah,
right? And so
and that's the only
there's,
person that would mess with you.
I mean, it's true. It is true. Um, and
Luckily, they're all
yes,
really tall. Whew.
there is a reality for smaller people that they're going to have a harder time, and most of the world is, if you're in the lower 20 percentile, right, you're going to have a hard time
Yeah.
with even average size people at that point. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think that it's we do as martial artists have to come to terms with the fact that there's a real world out there, and sometimes the techniques that we teach to all don't work for all, and
Right.
they don't, not all people, but not all situations as well.
Right.
And
And that's the
so
thing. Yeah, but and you need to be able to shift from whatever to whatever.
yeah,
So I mean, I guess one of the things I would say is like, okay, I mean, other than like breaking it up into a tackling class and then a
a technique class.
tackling,
Yeah.
yeah, a technique or a technique, is like, okay, we know from class A that big dude slamming into small person, this is their response. Okay, they can take it. And like I say, this is, if it's a tackle and an envelop, well, you're there, right? You can't
Right.
escape, you can't
You
go
should be
anywhere.
able to perform the technique without the tackle part.
So then you're there. It's just that kinetics, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. That's why I said the thing about a car. Like if the car hits you, you know, you're probably gonna fold around it or bounce off of it,
Yeah.
whatever. But, if someone is tackling you, they're tackling to hold on to you. So that is, and, are they tackling from the front? Are they tackling from the rear? They didn't specify in that one. So I presume they're attacking from the front. And, if they're attacking from the front and they're attacking from the front, maybe you'll have a moment to gather yourself before you get hit. Getting attacked from the sides of the rear where you can't see and can't kind of
Maybe they have to
feel
have their
your
eyes closed while they're being tackled
right.
from the
Yeah.
front.
That's the thing. Yeah. So, but at that point, yeah. So that's why it's, you do the sort of conditioning to like get used to like, if I get tackled and this person tackles me and envelops, because what I would actually prefer, like if they invite me down, is I would have them do the tackling class, right? And then I'd have them do the technique class. Be like, okay, but they can't go to the same like that. Whoever learns the technique, whoever tackles them can't know the technique, so they don't know
Okay.
what they're doing and
Right.
cannot see it. Like they're take in the secret room, and we'll show
Right.
you the secret technique. Okay, now tackle them. And so that way, the person who is tackling, uh, and if they're saying, okay, resist them or counter them or whatever, because that's the other thing. It's like, is it just they tackle them and then the person does the technique and they're worried about them getting knocked out from the tackle? Well, I mean, what can you do, right? Other than train for the tackle. And, that's another course that'll cost you 16.95,
Train for the tackle.
train for the tackle. That's not going to be the name of this episode. I've got a couple different names floating around again. Um,
So
but,
yeah, I think all in all, it's the the reality stuff, in my opinion, and the resistance stuff can be done incrementally,
yeah.
right? It doesn't have to be 100% full speed, full resistance right off the bat. You can slow walk people into it. Um, that to me is a better way to learn the technique. If you're trying to, I think you can do that from all aspects because if you're trying to say, I want to um, I want to have them have to do it under pressure,
Mhm.
then after they've learned the technique and they know the technique, then you can start with little pressure and go up and up and up and up and scale it up from there until they are at a point. Now, I just, like I say, I think it's unrealistic where if if a small person can't make the technique work against someone three times their size, that they're
Mhm.
not doing the technique right. Sometimes it's not the appropriate technique.
Right.
So yeah,
Well,
I would slowly increment the
yeah.
force.
Yeah. Well, and then also what I was thinking again, because as we all agree, this is a physics experiment. So if someone is 5'5" and you're going at somebody who's over a foot taller and
Yeah.
75, 100 pounds more, let's say them coming in, so you as like, it'd be like me going someone who's 5 feet tall and we.
Hmm.
So if I'm going someone who's 5 feet tall and I'm going to compromise myself because I can't tackle them this way. If I'm going to, am I jumping on them or am I tackling them? If I'm tackling,
Hmm.
I'm probably going to hit somewhere in the midsection, take them down, which means if they're that small, they're probably just going to go over your shoulder, you know, and then the technique's out the door anyway, because, you're not going into a sprawl or anything at that point. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of different nuances and stuff going on. And so in
Yeah.
order to apply that technique, you're gonna have to break it up. And, you can't let one thing destroy the other. I mean, you teach the person as they are. You don't teach the person as
Yeah.
the curriculum says, because the curriculum, one size does not fit all.
Well, and I just had to look this up real quick. The average male height in the US is 5'9",
Right.
right? So when when
Above average
you're
attacker would have to.
what's that?
It had to be an above average attacker. Attacker.
Uh, I mean, and 6'3" isn't just above average. Let's see, male height.
Are you using science and math and stuff? Geek. Stand by while we fire up the UNIVAC so Dan can
Yeah,
find out and do some statistics.
right.
Lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Okay, so a 6'3" male is generally taller than 97.8% of the population. So you're inside 3% of the population
Yeah.
for this attacker who is attacking this woman.
So
Like
it's a worst case scenario, kind of.
you've set up a very much a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And now there's all kinds of different factors for that. Like I don't know, maybe bigger guys are more prone to violence. I don't know. And so who knows? But the
They can't
point
find
being
shoes.
is that if you're really interested in reality,
Oh,
then I think that's a pretty extreme version of it. Now, if you want to go
yeah.
in and say, hey, extreme versions of reality is what this is all about,
Yeah.
um, then that's true too. But of course, then you better find that 7 foot, 300 pound guy so that the other guy, the 6 footers in your class can train to their maximum potential, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's another good point. Is like, if someone who is 6'3" is going to come at you, the like that's what I'm saying. Like the difference is, a foot. And then, so for them to attack you, they've got to compromise themselves to get down to you. And, they'll have velocity on their side. So, it's just, there- I,
Right. And I don't know. One of the tenets of the martial arts that I've studied is grab a weapon.
yeah.
Right. So like again, it's all
And those
this,
guys always have their spider code knife in their cargo pants
right?
that they always have to wear.
Yeah. But again, it's back to this. We have to, I think, reasonably understand that we're compromising reality, right?
Yeah.
Because if if this happened in a living room and there's, I don't know, a a a, a vape pen sitting there, right? Look at that. Look at that right
Not
there.
not that any member of Credit Cafe Studios is
No, wouldn't do that.
supporting
You
that. Yeah.
grab that as tight as you can and you jab that into any soft spot you can find, right? Like it's those types of situations where again, I think teaching techniques are great. It's a great and cool idea. Teaching them under pressure is great. Um, but just you have to understand that you're you're teaching people, right? So I guess, I said it's kind of
People.
a weird question to ask, but in reality, it's not a weird question to ask. I think that what you have to consider is what am I teaching this person? What am I trying to teach to this person? And what's the best way to do that?
Right.
Right? Because if I'm trying to teach um, reaction to violence, if I'm trying to teach a particular technique, then I feel like that way of doing it is trying to smash all of it together
Yeah.
and make them perform all those things all at the same time.
Right. Yeah. 'Cause I mean, that's one of the things I was thinking of is like, well, then, what if you're teaching somebody that someone comes at you with a baseball bat? Well, is your entrance criteria, like someone's going to swing at you with a baseball bat
Right,
as
right.
hard as they
Are you
can.
gonna train with a real bat? Because
And
like,
then, yeah, you're
yeah,
going to go up
well, you
against
can't
your
train
little
with a
slugger.
wiffle ball bat because it's not as scary then. You have to
Yeah.
really have the fear in you. It's just like,
Yeah.
whoa, okay.
With an aluminum, and
Uh-huh.
then, and they're going to come and swing at you and you've got
As
to,
hard as they can.
block it or whatever
Right.
but that goes with everything. It's like, yeah, it's like, the, the whole idea is someone is attempting or actively
Yeah.
applying violence to you.
Yeah, that the baseball bat analogy is actually a really good one because really that tackle is that woman's baseball bat,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what I mean. So
It's
maybe
it's
maybe
this
that's
it's the exact same thing. If you're trying to teach someone defense against a baseball bat, would you ever have anyone going full power at their head with a baseball bat just to see if they could do the technique?
right, right. you know,
That sounds crazy to me.
yeah. Yeah, you might get a wiffle ball bat and like some pads and like wham, just so you can feel it. But then you still aren't going to get, you
Right.
know,
That's not real. That's not real
the
enough.
performance. That's right.
You're
You
not
know,
going to get the
so
true fear because it's just a wiffle ball bat and you're padded up.
yeah,
Like,
you know, take a swing that breaks your arm, you're still standing. Okay, now what do you do? You know, run away. You
yeah.
know, it's
And I do like stuff like I have done the training where uh you you wear a white t-shirt and magic
oh yeah, with the
markers
markers. Yeah,
and you just get into a knife fight with somebody. Now, yeah, you're not afraid of getting cut because it's just a marker. But again, we try to kind of come all at this stuff from different directions so that we can teach it without hurting people.
yeah,
Because if you can't come back to training next week, then
yeah.
it's a real bummer.
So
So,
then, you know, then it's yeah, then okay, someone comes up and stabs you, and you know, secure the weapon so they can't stab you anymore, but it's still in you, and you have to defend yourself.
you
You
can
know,
train
like
that? Should we train
right,
that?
you know. So so that probably brings a another component on the thoughts on this is like, yeah, it's like where do you draw the line
Right.
on, you know,
What's
extreme
dangerous?
or real training or whatever. Yeah, so
Yeah.
because it's like what else happens in your school? Like it's all based on someone attacking you and wanting to hurt you.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're worried about someone being hurt in a martial arts class, you know, it's like that it's almost kind of like we discussed a few days ago. You know, it's like it kind of answers itself. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and to our point, if this person sees this show, I'm gonna send them a link to the show when it comes up. Is you know like I don't know how senior of an instructor this person is, or how long they've been training, or how long they've been testing, you know, teaching and stuff like
Right.
that.
That's another
But
big
that just seems
factor
to me
too.
like a whole nuance of like, well, how do I get this across? And you know, they're asking, so that's
No, and I do
cool.
understand as well this like I don't want to offend her
Yeah,
by saying she is unable to do the technique like someone else is.
yeah,
Um, and so I am compassionate to that. At the same time, I think it is, especially in Krav, especially in reality-based self-defense, reality is important. And
mm,
so for her to make sure she's living in the real world, right? And say these encounters are going to be far more dangerous for you than other people, regardless of how good you are at your techniques, right?
yeah,
Because size does matter. That again,
yeah,
that's why they have weight classes.
yeah.
Um, and so
And
I don't
I
know.
would say I would train it much more against like a grab, you know, carry situation,
Yeah.
sort of an abduction, sort of quote
And find a
unquote.
guy that's 5'10", for God's sakes.
Yeah,
Like,
and then and then not do the tackle because you know I don't. I mean, again, this as much as I know about it, like I don't see someone who is a male assaulting a female tackling them like at full speed to like knock them down because they have size and weight and surprise on their
right.
boom, take them down to do something else. They're probably going to grab them and take them elsewhere rather than being right there. So, I mean, and that again, that's a situation, right? Is a situation they're tackling you because whatever, or they're tackling you because they want to do, you know,
Yeah.
beat you up. You know, yeah, I don't,
Yeah,
you
and I
know,
think too,
domestic situation maybe, but
yeah, like we've talked about, I think there's other ways to maybe achieve the same ends.
right.
I think some of the panic training is a good thing. I think
Hmm.
some of the you know, uh, meeting real violence is often very startling
Hmm.
for even the most well-trained people,
Yeah,
because they never really met it before. And it's sort of
yeah,
like when I think I've told the story on this podcast before. I remember I was very young and a green belt, I think, and we were sparring and I was helping out this white belt with their sparring. and they just started windmilling their arms at me, right? And I was like, what the hell do I do? You know, because the windmill technique is not a technique I had faced before.
Right.
And again, I think those things are good. It is good for somebody to put on the anti-bear armor and go after another person. It's
Hmm.
those kind of violence preparedness drills
Yeah.
are not terrible. And again, if, for example, this is a test, and the test is to test the technique under pressure, then just don't go so crazy on the pressure. Like I say,
Right.
find a guy that's 5'10" and 180 pounds, you know, not like this monster of a human being.
Right.
And so I think if it's just a little bit more reasonable, you take it down a couple of notches, you
Right.
let the technique actually be performed, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I think if she or anybody else gets upset the fact that, hey, this bigger person has a bigger opponent than I do, um, one, they're being silly. At the same time, you can say, well, I always do it based on a percentage,
Yeah. Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah. You can
They can't
always
be more
let them.
than 50% your height or whatever the case might
Yeah.
be, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that's just getting into
Because this guy on a
different.
podcast did some statistics in the middle of the show and figured
That's
out
right.
the
That's
height
right.
and
And you could
percentages.
always tell her too, like, hey, if you want to train so that you can feel more confident with somebody that is that size, we can take that to a different class, right?
Right.
We can make that part of your focus, and we can make sure that that's what we study. But we're digging through this technique at this point to make sure that you learn the technique, to make sure you know it for other people, to make sure that you can pass the test, to make sure this, that,
Mhm.
and the other thing. This is not
Yeah.
about
And you
defeating
can.
a giant person, you
Right.
know.
And you could, I mean, depending on how many people in the class, you can, all right, do it at 20%, you know, a couple of times. All right, everybody
I'm
rotate
assuming this 6'3" guy
20%.
is all geared up, right? That's
Yeah, I
pro
mean, well, why would they? He's 6'3" and 200 and something pounds.
you
That's how
still
my
got to
guy
get
guys,
geared
they don't
up.
care. Nah,
Yeah, yeah.
got no gear on the streets, bro.
Well, he's the opponent, so he's the one
Well,
that's doing the
he picked
attack
it.
over and over again.
He chose to attack, and that's, whatever.
That is true.
The
That is true.
that is yeah, but
It's all
yeah,
his
so
fault.
yeah, there's a lot of nuance as with everything. There's a lot of, but there's definitely different ways to do it, and they can demonstrate. My short take is they could demonstrate the technique on somebody appropriately sized,
Yeah.
show that they know the technique, which I think is thrust is like how to get to the technique without
Yep.
being and then at the end of class go like, all right, you feel I'm taking on Reacher over here,
Right.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, and then let him,
Yeah. Yep.
and just feel what it feels like to take that thing, and then see if they can still function. But I would counter that. I said it before earlier. I'll say it again. It would be interesting to see what Reacher attacking somebody who's a foot and a half shorter than they are and lighter, depending on what if it's attack like what would be the physical response of them? Like I mean, because you're hitting something, you're tackling it. Is it small? Is it going to be a slip out of your arms because she's so much smaller than him? Is she going to be able to roll out? There's not just the person being attacked. There's also the attacker, right? So
Yeah.
there's going to be a physical response on their side of like how their body position is going to be, how their weight's going to be, yada yada yada. They may not be able to counter because they have steamrolled this person and gone past them. Maybe their weight and speed has carried them past them.
Yeah, and I mean you're right. There's all kinds of factors
Right.
because for example, what if they were a football player in high school?
Yeah,
They're not just gonna tackle you. They're gonna know exactly how to tackle you.
yeah,
And they're going to contain you
yeah.
and it is
And
going to hurt.
what if she was
Right?
like a rugby player or something? in school
Right.
who has been tackled and knows how to,
Yeah.
maybe that's a thing. That's also some of the thing
And
as
again,
as the
like it's
instructor is to know your students and go like, hey,
yeah.
do you think you can handle this? Oh yeah,
And
okay, cool.
and are we just setting up the weirdest scenario where I'm just standing there as someone runs at me, right? And
Yeah,
I'm like,
and
oh, I hope he doesn't tackle me.
uh,
Like, no.
I hope I'm
Or,
not
I mean,
randomly
it could
tackled here in
be,
the
and
IKEA.
again, we're imagining all this stuff. It could be
Right.
just two people standing static,
Yeah, and then
and
they
and
rush.
and
Yeah,
one goes for like a double leg takedown, right? Like
yeah,
that would be a tackle. So maybe that's all it is, and like it's
yeah,
not that big a deal. But
yeah. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. So the size differences create a whole different
yeah,
extra layer of
yeah.
variables of how things are going on.
If I were the 6'3" guy, I would imagine a kick in the chest, right?
Right.
That would do it.
Yeah.
Just a nice front kick right in the chest would do a lot of damage.
Yeah. And then,
So
well, I'm not going to tackle them. I'm,
I
you
don't
know,
know. I don't know. I think that if and I've seen the jujitsu guys and things like that where the little guy uh fights the bodybuilder kind of guy.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think Carlson, whatever the guy that he uh he was like the biggest guy in the universe, right? He was huge. He was a big famous bodybuilder. He was an
Mhm.
actor on Magnus Carlsen is the guy's name. He took on some jujitsu guy that just
Mhm.
climbed all over him like a spider monkey.
Right.
And eventually the guy got him to tap out.
Yeah.
But to say that it wasn't really, really difficult for a jujitsu black belt to
Mhm.
tap this guy out is not a stretch, right? It was
Yeah.
not easy. And so the size makes a difference. And I think we as
Yeah.
instructors have to understand that and kind of accommodate that and realize that,
Right.
yeah, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah. So, I mean, in answer to the guy's question, it's like, yeah, I mean, there are lots of different ways to get around it. It's like, it's just for you as the instructor to go like, where's the line, of what's important
Yeah.
for the curriculum,
Yeah.
and the technique, and what's important for,
Yeah. And I think I don't
practicality,
know. I
safety.
I keep kind of going back to your baseball bat analogy, and I think that's probably a great one where
Yeah.
it's just sort of like, or defense against kind of any weapons. How far along the reality road do you get? And that doesn't matter with different human beings. And in this case, there's one human being that is maybe of appropriate size and one human being that is not of appropriate size given the conditions of what you're trying to teach. And that does get a little touchy. That is kind of a sensitive area for a lot of people, to be like, what, you don't think I can do this, or you don't think I'm good enough, or blah, blah, blah. But again, you're teaching people reality here. And part of their reality is you're a foot shorter than this person and it's not going to work out for you. Like that's part of your reality is maybe you need to tune these techniques. Maybe you need to focus on different techniques because you are a smaller person. And these set of techniques are going to work better for you than this set of techniques. And that's the reality. So I don't know.
Yeah. And speaking of reality, I think we've brought this guy in. Yeah, I think it's great. Like, we would again love to hear you guys
Hmm.
and your comments on YouTube or via email at karatecafe@gmail.com, or on the Facebooks wherever fine internets are sold. We'd love to hear from you.
Is the Facebook link in the description below?
It will be.
Ah, nice. The Facebook link's in the description below, people.
There you go. So
Oh,
it's
and do the what are people supposed to do? They like the thing and they
they they
subscribe to the
they
stuff
they smash and
and
grab
they smash the
and
happy
slide
button.
into the subscriptions.
There you
I don't
go.
know. I
Perfect.
don't know what the kids are saying.
Well said, Paul. Well said.
The yeah, we a couple people have asked. Many people, big strong people, tears in their eyes, have asked me about when we're going to do lies. That was the other thing with lives again. Um, Maybe in the future. We didn't get as much traction on it, but I think I can do them on YouTube now. So maybe we'll realign the Massive Product Cafe studio and maybe do some Facebook or some YouTube lives.
Yeah, I was
And
just looking. I think, oh, dude, we need 50 subscribers to do live.
so
We're
there
at
you go.
40, we're at 48.
48. So we
So
need
we just need
three.
two people
No, three,
watching
three.
this. Three. We need three people watching this
There
that
we
aren't
go. Three,
currently
three.
subscribed to subscribe. That's all we
That's
need.
right.
That's
Or
all
if
we
you're
need.
listening to this on the old media, you can
Hop
go to
over.
the new media, the new freshness, the new
That's
hotness
right.
that we just discovered called YouTube,
That's
and
right.
subscribe. I
Go
am
and
trying.
tackle the YouTube
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and throw it to
exactly.
the ground.
I am trying to by me I mean the media team here at the Massive Product Cafe Studio is trying to go back and like do the old episodes as sort of videos to push them up to YouTube, um, and that way more of the older
Older,
audio content will be available on YouTube.
the
Um,
archives.
the archives, as
Hmm.
the people mispronounce. But anyway, Dan, that was a great
Yeah, it was fun. It
topic.
was it was, and
Probably
again,
gonna tick some people off, but
yeah, I hope I didn't like poo-poo that guy at all,
I
really. I didn't really
I
mean
think it's
to. Like,
mutual.
it's
No, we're
just
trying to help you out, but you said thoughts, bro. You said thoughts,
that's right.
and
That's
we
right.
think
That's
we have
right.
thoughts and feels.
I got too many thoughts sometimes. So,
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah. So
okay,
great episode, Dan. Thanks for kicking those things off and bringing that
sure.
topic to the front. Good talking to you as always,
Always. Thanks, Paul.
and
And
we will talk to you all again very soon.